The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.
Welcome to the Tim Heale Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to have a chat with Amy. So, Amy, if you can tell me where you were born, not necessarily when you was born because you're a lady, if you could describe to me what it was like where you grew up, the schools you went to, and the education that you received. So, over to you.
Well, it's an honor to be here with you today and excited to have this great conversation. And everything began for me in Southern California. I was born just outside of Los Angeles, but still very busy, the Valley area, about 20 minutes outside of downtown, 30 minutes. And it was in the 80s when I was 70s and 80s when I was growing up. So I don't mind sharing that. And it was everything that you see California to be that was in the movies at that time. Would go down to the beach a lot in the summer as a kid. And it was the surfing and the lifestyle and the Valley girls and all of the language and everything that the movies depict Los Angeles and Hollywood and the beaches of Southern California. That really is what it was like. I remember really enjoying being in high school, even the time when all that 80s music was coming out and seeing Madonna come out to life and all the new wave trends. And so I got to be a part of that at a really great time that things were changing and shifting, but nowhere near the world that we have today. It was really nice, I think, then to not have cell phones and to not have the technology. I just felt that life was still more simple, even in a busy city. We were still in a suburb. So it was nice. My family owned a business in aerospace, and my dad and his brothers. And so we lived in a home in a suburb that was beautiful, and we had a pool in the backyard and enjoyed our summer times. I have one brother and went to public schools all the way through 5th grade. And then I actually skipped a grade. I tested and the school and my parents decided I didn't need to go to the 6th grade. And they moved me up. And at 11 years old, I started the 7th grade at a new school, at a private school that was for 7th through 12th grades. And I would be completing my education there. My brother already attended the school in high school. And so I went to a very small private school. So it's interesting that I had that small school. I wasn't in a large, big high school. I was in Los Angeles, which is huge. So as far as where I lived, but my education part was very small. We were all in the same classes. There were only 80 students in my graduating class. So everybody knew everybody. We all took the same classes.
So we raced ahead.
Yes, and I raced ahead.
We haven't even got off at a beach yet, and you're already going to
Sorry, I got excited.
I know. That's fantastic. So, Southern California, how far were you from like Hollywood?
Oh, probably not 30 minutes outside of Hollywood. Traffic, that's a whole different ball game. But if it was a light traffic day, 30 minutes.
So did you see lots of stars around, sort of mincing up and down the promenading up and down the beach and that, in their swimsuits, or didn't they? I guess all the stars and everything sort of.
They hide behind the gates. I did have one sighting one time in a parking lot. I accidentally kind of ran into Val Kilmer. So that was my celebrity. I call it my celebrity hitting. We were fine. He was fine. Thankfully, he just motioned me on my way. And that was in Malibu. But no, didn't see too many. Every once in a while, even here in San Diego, I'll see a celebrity here and there. But it's not that often. But I wasn't out immersed in the Los Angeles area as much because I still was 30 minutes outside of town.
Yeah. So, was it a big house that you lived in? I mean, describe your house. What was that?
Well,
like?
it was everyday America suburban home. So 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-story, nice house, not a mansion, but not small, in a nice neighborhood. So it was it was definitely very comfortable, and it was an incredible house to grow up in. Our house was the house that all the neighborhood kids were at every day, and all the activities were.
Is that to come around and use your pool and stuff like that?
Yes, everybody uses the pool. We'd play volleyball in the backyard, and the pool had a slide and a diving board. So it really was a lovely place to grow up.
So Kindergarten.
Mhm.
How how far away was your kindergarten? Can you remember much of that?
Yes, I very much so. I remember my brother walking me to kindergarten the first day. Um, yeah,
Not your mum.
I had to take a bus to get there. It was about a 10-minute bus ride to get to school. And I still have the book that my kindergarten teacher gave me that she signed to me at the end of kindergarten, telling me what a great reader I was and wishing me well in life. And it was a wonderful time.
And that was the big yellow bus that you went on, obviously,
A
the
big
school
yellow bus.
bus.
Yes.
Fantastic. So, what was the book called?
Ticky Ticky Tempo. And I don't
Oh,
remember what it was about. I have it in my hope chest somewhere, but I do remember it was called Ticky Ticky Tempo, and I just loved it. And she gave me one and signed it at the end of the year.
oh, terrific. So that moves you up then to, is it elementary school?
Yes, the same school. I had good teachers. I always liked to read. I always got good grades. I was a little more quiet. I was always in music, so I wanted to be in the choirs. And if there was music, I was always known as the singer. It started very young that everybody knew I was the one that could sing, and kind of
Aha.
stood out for that, even in elementary school. But I got very good grades and enjoyed all of my teachers and did very well in school.
So, what was your worst subject? Which one didn't you like going into? There must have been
Ooh,
one that was.
math, definitely math. A- And yeah, definitely math and science. Those were two, it just did not connect for me.
Hmm. So,
Which
what was
now
your
doesn't bother me as much, but
what was your outstanding? What was the one you couldn't wait to get up and go to school for? What
music,
was music?
choir, music, the special music classes. I did well in English, but I just wanted to be doing music. And I loved the speech and debate classes as well. Anything that was about talking or singing, I was happy to be doing. Everything else, I didn't care.
Fair one. So, did you get to play an instrument?
Yes, I started playing piano when I was 3. And so, but my fingers were too small to take lessons yet. So, the piano teacher made me wait till I was 5 so that my fingers could grow a little bit, which they never did. But they're still tiny. But I did train classically on piano for 10 years, and I still play to this day. Now I
Aha.
play by ear and play other music and my own music and what I enjoy, but I definitely learned to play piano, and it came naturally for me.
So you learned to read music as well at that stage.
Oh, yes, at a very young age. Very young age, I was playing classical music and reading music.
Mm. So, what's your favourite piece of classical music?
Beethoven Sonata in D.
Ah,
Yes, my favorite piece to play. And I do still love the Moonlight Sonata as well. I love Beethoven. I think Beethoven was my favorite of the classical pieces. I didn't
mm.
enjoy a lot of the classical as much. I wanted to play songs that I loved or knew. I wanted to just sit and play by ear. But what I had to play, those are the ones I enjoy. And I'll still sit down and play some of those once in a while.
Mm. Just to keep you handy.
Uh-huh.
My favourite piece of classical music is Romance of the Gadfly, Shostakovich.
Oh, wow.
And that is just a beautiful piece of music. Um, Mainly for the violin, but yeah, it's just a beautiful piece of music. How he
Wow.
wrote it, I don't know, but yeah, Romance of the Gadfly. Yeah,
I'm going to have to
terrific.
listen to that one now.
Oh yes, absolutely. And it was also they used it as a theme to a television program years and years ago called Riley Ace of Spies. It
Oh,
probably I don't know whether it made it to America, but it was certainly big over here. And yeah, they used that as the theme tune to it, and that was great.
oh, that's great.
Hmm. So, what sort of music did you like growing up? What
I
did
grew
you
up on
like to play?
country music. I grew up on country
Oh,
music. Even in California, that was what my dad listened to, and that was the influence. Although, once the 80s hit, I loved the new wave music. I loved all the 80s music and pop culture at that time. So I definitely expanded. But country music has
mm,
always kind of been the root and the core of what my first love was.
So, which was your favourite artist?
Growing up, I always wanted to be Barbara Mandrell. She was my favorite when I was a kid, and I said I was going to be Barbara Mandrell when I grew up. That was what I loved. And then over the years, it's expanded, and there's so many great artists that it's hard for me to even choose. And there's a lot I don't like too. But and for me with music, it creates an emotional attachment. So there might be a song that resonates with me, even if that's not an artist that I generally listen to all the time, but that song brings back a memory or a moment or something that it's attached to. So there's a lot of attachment to life memories for me with music that sometimes crosses all genres of music.
Well, there's one tune that I like, and if I don't like the place that I've worked, then it's a tune that comes to mind, and it's by Johnny Paycheck. You can probably guess that one.
Which one?
Well, when I don't want to work somewhere. Go on, see if you work it out. Take this job and shove it.
That one, of course.
That one.
I ain't working here no more. Yes.
That's terrific.
I think we've all felt that a time or two.
Yeah. Well, I was also big into country music. I still like a bit of country music now and then. I mean, sort of a bit of Willie Nelson.
Of course.
Who else? Waylon Jennings. I mean,
yes.
Who doesn't like Waylon? Jerry Reed.
Yes. Oh, I love Jerry Reed. He was amazing.
I was listening to. In fact, I was watching Smoking the Bandit the other day, and I thought that
great movie.
Some great memories.
I've probably seen that 30 times.
Yeah. Eastbound and Down. What a trick song that is.
Loading up and trucking.
So apparently Jerry Reed wrote that within sort of about 10 minutes.
Wow.
And it just clicked. So yeah, that was pretty good.
That's great.
Middle school, so music was your passion there.
Yes.
And what about, did you do any theatre, or was that a bit early for that sort of thing?
I did a little bit in high school. I was always in some kind of a performance or another. So it did span into a little bit of theater, and I had children's performance groups, and then a lot of ensembles in high school and things. I was always kind of expanding it wherever I could at that time. Yes.
After school clubs and that sort of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So mum and dad's taxi off to
mom was the taxi.
Clubs.
Mom and then I was able to do more once I could drive. Clearly, then I could take myself. But mom was definitely the taxi, but she didn't work, so she was able to do that.
Yeah. So, what's next after middle school? Because you missed a grade, and then
middle school and high school was all the same school, so I feel like it was all the same time. Nothing changed. So for 7th through 12th, I was at the same place with the same people in the same buildings, the same teachers for those 6 years. So it really kind of blended in together. There wasn't a separation of that. So it was 6 good years at that small high school. And I'm still friends with some of my school friends to this day, my classmates. And it was a very small, protected little environment. So part of me still wishes I had had a big school experience. I remember having friends at the big high schools and thinking, oh, what it would be like to go there. I think I would have done well at a big school. I think I felt a little bit claustrophobic at the small school. There wasn't as much resources and opportunities, but I was close to my teachers. So with that came a little bit more relationship, but I don't feel as much education as I would have liked to have had.
So what were the main subjects that you were doing then? Was it a broad curriculum because it was a private school, or was it predominantly the arts, or was it?
I wish it had been predominantly the arts. That's what I wanted, but no, it was general curriculum. And by that point in high school, I wasn't caring as much about my education as I probably should have. So I was choosing the path of least resistance at that time. I took the English and the maths and the subjects that I had to, but nowhere near like the personality I have today, where I want to excel. I want to expand. I want to learn more. I want to go as far as I can go. At that time, I did not have that. I wasn't equipped with that. I wasn't thinking long term. I think it was a different time then, even as a woman. It wasn't encouraged. I wasn't, we weren't talking about higher education for me. It just wasn't an option. So I just took the classes that I had to take, but my heart really wasn't in it. I was just going through the motions. And that's disappointing now, as I've walked this with my children now, my grown children. I see it completely differently now. And I wish I had had more of that drive and encouragement to press on in academics, but I didn't.
So, what was your favourite class in high school?
Music and speech. I loved the speech class, learning how to present, public speaking, that challenge of speech and debate, along with the music classes was just my favorite. That's what I excelled in.
So you learned to stand up in front of an audience
Yes.
and say, unaccustomed as I am to public speaking.
Yes. Yeah. And all of my report cards always said she talks too much. I laugh. I still have connection with some of my teachers to this day. And I'm like, look what I do for a living. It's okay. The writing was on the wall. This is what I wanted to do.
So make a living out of talking.
Yes.
Can't fault that. Can't fault that at all. So, because it was a smaller school, I guess that you didn't have a huge amount of opportunities to do a lot of theatrical stuff.
No, very little. I went as far as I could go, and they didn't have a theater program at all. So we just had the music program I was in, and I ended up kind of being the head of it. I was the main person. And then I was helping the director with the larger performance choir. I was the one directing the choir as well. So I really went as far as I could go with those resources.
And did you do anything outside of school? Did you go to theatre groups outside school? Or
I was in a couple as a child, and then also the church that we went to growing up, I was always singing and doing extra performances and things. It was a very large church, so they had a big music program for high school students, and so we did a lot of extra things with that. And that's what I did outside of school as well. It was always just music. And then I still took piano lessons and voice lessons throughout school privately as well.
So the voice lessons, were they for singing? So
yes.
Correct breathing and
yes,
and do it from down the diaphragm and not from the throat.
Right. And where your voice makes the sounds and inside your voice and where you speak from, where you sing from. It was years of actual vocal lessons on top of piano lessons.
Yeah, so a lot of me.
Yes, you have to do all of that.
So, moving on then, let's have a look. What happened at the end of high school? Did you graduate with some honours?
No, I should have. I did not graduate with honors. I mean, I was up there. I did okay, but I wasn't a valedictorian. I still got good grades, but my heart just wasn't in it. I knew that I wanted to go out and conquer the world. I knew I wanted to work. I wanted to perform, and that was really what I wanted to do.
So, what was history lessons like? Did you flunk history or?
I did not do well with history. I did not enjoy history. Although now as an adult, when I'm learning history, I find it more enjoyable and I wish I had paid more attention. But maybe I just didn't connect well with my history teachers and I just was tuning out. I just tuned out. I wasn't enjoying.
What about geography? Again?
Geography, I did good. I enjoyed learning geography a little bit. I did okay. With that. That part was okay. And literature, I did well. Because it was a private school and it was a faith-based school, I took a lot of theology classes as well. And I did enjoy, that was more of the history I enjoyed learning it was definitely the history of theology and the different things around theology. So I did enjoy that as well and still do.
Bit of God bothering, eh? So, right, let's move on. What did you do after you graduated from high school? Did you go to college?
I did not go to college. I started in the family business, and then I realized that I did not like sitting behind a desk. And so I found the first job that I was entertaining. I was entertaining at a dinner theater restaurant where we were allowed to be funny and we had to wear costumes and we had to entertain. So I immediately immersed myself into entertaining, and I chose to do that until I got married and had my first few children. And so I didn't work for those first years in my 20s. And then at 30, is when I really entered into the workforce and started my career that has led me through everything that I am now. So I really waited to start my career till 30.
So, tell us a little bit about your first job in the family business.
Mm-hmm.
So, what did your dad expect you to do?
It was a very large company. So although my father was one of the owners with his brothers, I worked in a completely different building and a completely different department. And I was at the front. At the time, it was the old-fashioned typewriter, and I was typing up papers that were needed for the trucking companies coming in and picking up parts, and I was answering the phones and just handling paperwork and coordinating for the shipping department, and it was grueling. I am not meant to sit behind a typewriter. That did not last long. No, that did not last long. I was like, nope, this is not my calling. This is not what I'm supposed to do. But I learned.
So what did your dad say when you said, right, I'm leaving to go be an entertainer?
I told him I was leaving to go put on a costume at a dinner at a dinner theater. And at first they thought I was a little crazy. But the truth is I made more money at the dinner theater than I did at the family business. They tipped well. It was a great environment. And so I wasn't there long before the family realized that was a good decision for me at the time. I was young.
Yeah. And it should have reminded you, Dad, well, if you paid me better, I might have stayed.
Right, exactly. That was a different time then. And as a woman, all the men ran the business, and it was just different. And I don't understand why to this day, but it was just different then.
Hmm. So this restaurant job. So what did you just dress up as?
I wasn't dressed as a Native American, as an Indian. I was like Pocahontas.
All right. So you had to sort of put some red on and
I had the outfit, and I had a headband with the feathers, and my character name was Princess Running Mouth.
So I guess that fitted then.
I still have that, and no, they came up with that, and I still have that costume to this day.
Can it? Does it still fit?
It does. I'll have you know, it does.
Terrific. So, how long was you there for?
I was there for a couple years. I think I was there for 2 years, and I loved it. I made lifelong friends. I learned real quick how to work in a tough, fast-paced environment. I learned how to be funny and quick-witted. I learned how to be a good server. I learned team skills. I learned a lot in that job that I wouldn't have learned otherwise. It was an incredible experience. I wouldn't change it at all.
So what's just so I understand? So it's a theatre restaurant. So you've got a stage where you've got actors.
No, there wasn't a stage. We would go to each table, and there were different rooms. The guests were put into different rooms that had a different theme. And so, and every server was a different character. So together we would come up with skits and songs, and we would entertain, and we would do a lot of improv. It was a lot of improvisation. So you had to be funny and think on your feet very quickly while still helping serve the food and the drinks and work the restaurant as anything else. And it was really fun. It was just laughing all the time.
So did you have much chance to sort of do some rehearsals before you sort of started each day, or was it was
different every day, nothing scripted, no rehearsals. You had to read the room and who the guests were, and you would feed off of them and your other coworkers. And we had a couple things that we kind of figured out that we would come up with together that we would do each night. So that was kind of, oh, we'll do that one again. But a lot of it was very unscripted and very off the cuff.
Mm. Now that can have a downside as well, because how often did you not quite judge the room and
Oh,
bond?
I'm sure it happened. I'm sure it happened plenty of times, especially if it's a day that I'm tired or I'm just not completely on. But the good thing about that is that my coworkers were so strong that if one of us was having an off day, the others would really pick up the slack. So you always had a team member there to help you. If you're like, hey, I'm slow today, or I don't feel well today, or not getting it, they would come in and help. And together as a group, it really always worked out. And that's where really learning how to be a team paid off.
Yeah. So you've got different rooms, so you've got different characters,
Mm-hmm.
so and different themes. So how did the others come in and help out? So you're dressed up as Princess Motormouth.
Oh, we had a cowboy, we had a pirate, we had a guy dressed as a doctor, and everybody had a character name, and you had to stay in character. So it would be funny to see these different characters interacting with a character that didn't quite make sense, and we could make it really funny. It would be funny to see the doctor and the pirate coming up with skits together. And so the cowboy and I did very well because I was an Indian. So we did a lot of cowboy and Indian skits, but it was really fun. We would stand on the tables. I mean, we could do anything we wanted to. I had a little bow and arrow with a suction cup, and I would shoot it across people's heads, and it was great. People would wait hours to get a seat in this restaurant.
Crikey. So it was obviously a posh restaurant then.
Yes.
Did you have, obviously if it was that famous, you obviously had lots of famous guests coming through all the time.
There were some at times. This one was outside of Los Angeles, but this restaurant chain had about 6 or 7 different locations in the U.S. on the west side of the U.S. And so they were pretty popular at the time. They're all long gone now, but people would go there for celebrations. You'd have a lot of guests there for their birthday or an anniversary or a graduation. Company Christmas parties was a big time of year. We'd get a lot of Christmas parties, and we would do big, large parties in one of the rooms. So that made it really fun.
Brilliant. So a couple of years of that, and then I guess that was it. You pulled the pin out, you got married.
Yes. Did
you marry the cowboy?
No, nobody from work. So that's okay. And I had a wonderful time for years getting to have my children and help and be there for them in those formative early years and that new time of being a young mom. And then at 30, I went out into the workforce and found myself and finally got to use some of those skills from English and from speech and debate and music all at the same time. That was when I really got to launch.
So what did you launch as?
It's funny because I told you I don't like numbers, but I went into the mortgage and banking profession, and I was a sales rep for one of the big mortgage banks here in the United States. And so my job was to go out and bring in business. And so it was really communication and people skills and memorizing our products and what we sold and to go help with the mortgage industry. And so I was in my car. I hit accounts all over Southern California. I would drive all over Southern California every day and go visit my clients and do presentations and earn their business. And that was where I learned how to really be effective in sales and as a business professional, but still my entertainment skills, being able to stand in front of a room full of people and present and still be funny and be professional and make connections and not be afraid to speak to people was what set me apart. It made all the difference.
Absolutely. So how long did you last at that?
I did that until the mortgage and real estate industry collapsed here in 2007. I was very successful with that for those years. And in '07, when the industry collapsed, my job at what I did for banks disappeared. That job did not exist anymore. And so I lost my job overnight when the recession hit here in the US. And that was devastating. Absolutely
Yes.
devastating.
So you lost all the clients, everything.
I lost
Gone.
my job. Yeah, the bank, we all lost our jobs. They closed down branches, they closed down divisions. Overnight, it was like a plug just came out of the wall overnight. It was
Wow.
awful.
So what did you do?
Well, I looked back and said, I can entertain. I'm good with people. I'm an effective communicator, and I know how to succeed in business. Guess what might happen if I put those skills together and go ask for the business in music? And that's exactly what I did. I put together a business plan, and I knew it was time to go out and perform, but in a way that could really provide for myself and the kids. And I asked for the business, and 6 months later, I was opening for one of the biggest names in country music on a very large national stage. And I launched my music career as a touring recording artist from that experience by shifting and saying, I'm going to use these skills. I'm going to use communication and business skills and the same drive and go and effective communication and ask for the business as a singer, as a recording artist. And I did. And I toured for the next couple of years.
So what was your first song that you sung? What was the hook that
Well, like
got you
everyone
into
else, my first songs were doing other people's songs because that's what you have to do when you're getting started. But I had a couple songs that were originals that I had the permission to cover from writers in Nashville. So I had a couple songs that were originals. But when I was out touring, the other part of my show would be songs that people recognized. So that it was, I sing the 1942 song Ghost Riders in the Sky. It's one of my favorite songs to sing.
Oh,
Yeah, Yippee-ki-yay, yippee-ki-yo. I sing Bon Jovi, Wanted Dead or Alive. I would sing other classic country songs as well as some more contemporary or rock songs so that I was meeting my audience needs. And it was really fun to put that show together. And then in 2009, I was able to find a song that I had been looking for my whole life. I wanted to have a song that honored our veteran and military community. And I was able to connect with a writer that was here from California that had an amazing song called Coming Home. And it was a song to honor our veterans that were coming home from the war. And he gave me the permission to sing that song. I recorded it in Los Angeles. And the rest of that touring time was really out there promoting this song. And because of that, I actually became the spokesperson for the American veterans for the state of California. And again, effective communication, being able to speak in front of people, combined with my musical talent, really came through on this one as well, as I spent the next couple of years, along with my touring, performing for military and veterans events all over. And it was a powerful, wonderful time and incredible life-changing experiences.
So where did the veteran thing come from then?
Well, my father served in the Air Force before I was born. So I had always loved and appreciated, our military and veteran community. And I had been practicing the national anthem since I was 3 years old. I just knew I would be singing the national anthem. And that was something that I always wanted to do. And now I had the opportunity, and I would sing in the stadiums. I would sing the national anthem at military and veteran events and sporting events. And so it just grew from there to where every time I would sing or perform, somebody else would ask me to come and sing and perform. And so it just kept growing and evolving until I had a full schedule at some amazing events.
Because you guys treat your veterans a lot different to the way they treat us veterans over here. because I'm a little bit of a veteran myself, you know.
Well, thank you.
Well,
That's fantastic.
yeah,
Any veteran in any country,
I only
that's
did a short
fantastic. Thank you
time.
for serving.
I only did 44 years under the colours. Yeah, they didn't like me, you know. They kept sending me off into harm's way.
Oh, they didn't like you, huh?
No, kept sending me off to hostile places where hot and dusty, and
Oh
where
my
people were trying
goodness.
to kill me. But like a bent penny, I used to keep turning back up again. So I survived it.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I've done. I do a bit for veterans over here, obviously. Take part in veterans events. We had, say, we had a Talavera dinner the other night. Um, a little while ago, I did a Million Vets March on London,
Wow.
where we had a bit of a demonstration because we've got there's a, there, there's some vexatious claims from the Northern Ireland days, where they're trying to prosecute veterans for serving in Northern Ireland.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we went and had a ruck with that, and then we did. I did a motorbike ride as well, Rolling Thunder, where we drove all our motorbikes down into London and surrounded Parliament Square. Uh, had a,
Oh
uh,
wow.
so, and then we've got a few veteran scenes coming up fairly soon, actually. Um, we're
Wow.
going up to a thing called Ride to the Wall on the 1st of October, where there's about 8,000 or so motorbikes, veterans, all going to ride up to Staffordshire, where we've got the National Memorial Arboretum,
Hmm.
and we're having a service up there. So that's going to be quite a big day out.
Wow. Yes, that'll be wonderful.
Yes, and on my Thursday show, I've got a veterans mental health special coming up. Um,
Oh, good. That's
so
important.
we've done a couple before, so
Hmm.
we're going to bring all that together. So
Wonderful.
yeah, so brilliant. So you get involved with the veterans.
Very involved.
Because
Very involved.
I was talking to the warrior program. I forget what it is now. It's quite a while ago I spoke to these guys. Um, but yeah, there's a program that these guys do out in Texas, where they're helping veterans with mental health issues. And
Wonderful. There's a
yeah,
lot of great organizations that are helping veterans with mental health issues. I sit on the
and
board of directors for one of them currently.
mm, well, the problem is that because we've been involved in quite a few wars recently, lots of guys um, are coming back with problems.
Hmm.
And the way that we found that to deal with it is that during conflicts, if you've had, if particularly if you're in the front line, then there's a way of dealing with it where we use TRIM, which is trauma incident management.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
so it's a process that you take guys through over a sort of a 3 month period where you talk through some of the issues that they're having, and if they're struggling, then you refer them on to specialists that can
Right.
help them, and hopefully that kind of reduces the problem of getting mental health issues later down the
Right.
line, where years ago they didn't have that, and consequently you're seeing lots of veterans that have problems where it hasn't been dealt with.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there you
Oh
go.
yeah, completely.
So tell me a little bit about you say you're a director for a charity. How's
I
that
sit
work?
on. I'm on the board of directors, so I'm a board member for a charity. I actually sit on 3 boards, but this one for the veterans is called Saddles and Service, and it's using horses in equine therapy for trauma for veterans, police officers, anyone that serves, and their families can come and have therapy and work with these horses on the ranch and ride the horses. And it's a really wonderful ranch that we have here in Southern California. And so it's got 3 locations around the United States, 3 big ranches. And so I sit on the board of directors to help support that foundation. And in fact, the founder is a woman that went to my small high school with me. We went to that little school together, and now she and her husband run this huge foundation, and we've reunited, and I help her with that foundation.
That's terrific.
Yeah, it's really neat.
So that's obviously just dealing with American veterans.
Yes.
You don't take us Brits.
Well, maybe if you came over, I'm sure they'd be more than warm and welcoming.
So these ranches, are they like the traditional sort of cowboy stuff? I mean, the court horses, with a horn saddle and
that's correct,
and a rope and cowboy hats and boots.
Cowboy hats, and they rope cattle, and yes, very much cowboy ranch. That's correct.
That sounds like a huge amount of fun.
It is, and they use rescue horses. So they take horses that need to be rescued from anywhere that maybe they're not being treated correctly, or they are not in good health, or they need to retire from whatever service they were in, and they actually use rescue horses for this therapy, and it's really spectacular.
Ex-rodeo horses, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Brilliant. So we've kind of strayed off.
That's okay.
We've gone off the.
We went on a different road, but it's a good road.
Yeah,
so that's okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's have a look. Where do we get to? So you've got yourself into the business.
Yes.
You've used it, and you've got this song, "Veterans Coming Home."
Yes. So I did that a couple years, and it was really, really, really wonderful. And then I decided it was time. I needed to increase my visibility and wanted to step back into the business world at the same time. And my kids had needs that I need to make sure I'm providing for. And so the economy started to get better after 2011. And so there was an opportunity for me to come back into the mortgage lending and home lending banking world as a manager, as a sales manager, helping the sales team to go out and effectively communicate and bring in the business. And so I came back into the business to help them develop business. I came in as a sales manager and started that again. I was still singing. I would still do some pretty big shows on request, but I stopped touring so that my youngest child could really go through the schooling that she wanted to go through. And I stepped back into business. And that was a really neat time. That's when I moved to San Diego from Los Angeles and started meeting great professionals from all over. And it was really fun to be back and speaking that language in the business and the banking world again, while still having an opportunity to still perform when I chose to. So I put those two worlds together.
That sounds like a bit of fun. So were you taking people and training them up?
Yes, I was training them.
With your techniques of your communication skills.
Communications, go ask for the business, go make good, solid relationships, how to make an effective presentation, how to articulate and set yourself apart, things like that.
So it's obviously was successful. So were you working for one of the big banks or?
Yes, I actually, yes, I worked for the bigger company for the United States. Yes, primarily in California, but they had representations all over the nation. And so I would represent the team just here in San Diego for that. I didn't represent the entire bank on that, just the company here in San Diego. And it was during that time that I got a phone call from one of my colleagues in that industry that said there was an opportunity for me to step into TV hosting for professionals. And that's how that door opened for me to be a TV host, interviewing business professionals and entrepreneurs and community leaders. And so that path opened up the next big path for me to be in front of the camera, to be using these effective communication skills and business skills, and still being comfortable as the entertainer. And so I was a TV host for the past 5 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Talking to a TV star.
It was a really great time. And one of the shows was just for veterans. So it was really, really fun to do that. It was really incredible.
What was that show about then for the veterans?
The show was called The American Dream. And it was interviewing different professionals, business owners, talking about how they built their American dream. It was a lot of real estate agents talking about owning the American dream, the American home ownership, and banking professionals, community leaders, things like that. And it was all anything that was positive, anything that was educational, helping give back. And a lot of interviews were in the TV studio in person, but a lot of interviews were just like this, where they were virtual. And that was before everybody was doing virtual interviews. This was before the pandemic. And so learning how to do these virtual interviews from the studio as well as in-person interviews. And I've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of amazing professionals from all walks of life by having the opportunity to have that experience. And the other show was called Operation American Dream, that was just for military and veteran topics. And so I was able to take my experience in communication, in business, in sales, in performing, and in all the years that I served the veterans to really come into one full career. And it was the perfect fit for me. Wow.
So is that show still running?
It is still running. I stopped hosting for them about a year ago because my business, I got too busy. I decided to transition into and go with the direction of everything that I'm doing now. But it's very wonderful. Yes, it's still there, and it grew. It really grew. It gave me some incredible opportunities to be on some big networks.
So they got your name out there even more then.
Yes, very much so, in a big way.
So you're still doing a bit of singing?
Well, I recorded, I was able to go back to Nashville after all these years. I went back to Nashville last year and I recorded a new album, and we just released it the first of the year. And my first single, the first song off of that is on the charts worldwide. It did very well there in the UK. It still is. And so I am really enjoying this, to see the music coming around and having the opportunity to promote the music and to see my dream fulfilled after all these years and these different careers. That I've got a major music project out on radio right now, and it's really fun, really fun.
Wow. So have you got any real, what's your real ambition for singing?
I love that the music opens up opportunity for me to still work with great professionals. For me, the singing is the little girl that always loved to sing. And I've already toured. I've already been on some of the biggest stages here in the US. I've had incredible experiences. The music now is an incredible vessel to reach out. It's growing my network. I'm meeting incredible professionals, and I met you because of doing interviews like this. And so it allows an opportunity for me to really reach out in a much larger way across the globe, as I now really help professionals in my business as a media and communications coach. It's opened up the opportunity for me to help others to do the same thing. To not give up when you lose your job or when hardships happen, to not think that you're too old to start over, and to continue to allow your career to unfold in front of you while staying true to who you are. And that core person, that core kid that started playing piano at 3, that started singing, that only wanted to do music classes and English class and speaking. I speak for a living, I sing for a living, and I coach professionals to do that same thing. Terrific. So it came around full circle.
So, question, have you sung at a Grand Ole Opry?
That is the next stage that is on the bucket list. I am currently working on that right now.
Do you want me to put
it is in the works. that is the one stage that is left, and it is in the works. And I had a tremendous opportunity. The musicians that are on these songs that I just recorded last year are the same musicians that perform at the Opry every night.
They've got seats at the Opry, have they?
They are the musicians that perform at the Opry every night for all
That's
to
what
make
I meant.
artists. Yes.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
They've got a seat at the Opry.
Yes.
So I've interviewed quite a few people from the theatre world, and on Broadway, to be one of the house musicians, they call it having a seat.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
So they've got the seat at the
They've
Opry.
got the seat. So it's, things happen when they're supposed to. I'm not going to rush it. I will be thankful the day that that's supposed to happen. And since I was 3 years old, when I said I wanted to be Barbara Mandrell, when as a small child I said I'm going to sing at the Opry someday, it is absolutely closer now than it ever has been before, and it's right around the corner.
Wow. I wish you every success on that one.
Thank you.
I like the Grand Ole Opry.
Me too.
Well, Amy, this has taken us to some places I didn't reckon I was going to go, but it's fabulous.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed this.
Thank you. I did as well. Thank you so much. You're such a gracious host.
Oh, you're too kind.
The Tim Heale Podcasts. Ordinary people's extraordinary stories.